Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and much appreciate you guys checking today's video out. And just right now headed down to Table Rock Lake. Got an on the water lesson today and wanted to knock out the video. And we're gonna have a little fun video today. We're gonna talk about the world if I was to win the lottery, how I would use that to change the world of professional fishing. And the reason I wanted to do this video is it seems like every time I do an opinion video, like on live scope or bed fishing or something like that, or talking about the sport being an elitist sport, people say, well, Randy, you got to be tournament director, or you got to run the tournaments, or you got to form your own tournament. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the video. So anyway guys, real quick before we get started, just a couple quick housekeeping tips. Want to invite everybody out there and thank everybody also that has become a channel member and supported the channel. Channel members get extra videos every week that aren't seen by the public, and access to my personal email address for your fishing questions. And if you're interested, on my YouTube homepage, you can just click the join button and it gives you all the info for that. So much appreciated there. Okay guys, here's what would happen if I won the lottery. Say for example, if they had that big Mega Millions and it got up to like $1.5 billion like it has something, this is what I would do with the thing. First of all, I would make Bassmaster and MLF an offer they couldn't refuse and buy out the organizations. I'd give them like, $150 million a piece, buy out the organizations. Whether they take it or not, I would assume they would take $150 million and sort of do what they want to do with that. But I would try to buy them out so I could, sort of have control of the environment a little bit better. The next thing I would do is I would return MLF, which used to be FLW, which used to be Operation Bass back in the days. I would return it back to the state where all they had was BFLs. There would be no Bass Pro Tier, there'd be no Toyota Series. It would all be BFL tournaments, just like they did back in the 80s, and really gear this BFL tournaments to like the weekend anglers and anglers also wanting to work their way up to maybe eventually fish, what I'm going to talk about here in a second. But anyway, in essence, I would completely restructure MLF. Definitely name it a different name. I don't think that's a very good name. Name it a different name. Keep the BFL tournaments and make them pay a legitimate pay. Right now, BFLs don't even pay 100% out. So I would probably double the payout. I'd probably reduce the entry fees. And then on top of that, like the co-anglers situation on that, I would, instead of charging the co-anglers, I would pay the co-anglers $500 to enter the tournament. So in other words, if you entered as a co-angler, you would get $500. Wouldn't cost you anything to fish the tournament. And then co-anglers, or they would not be co-anglers anymore, they would be marshals, because they wouldn't be allowed to fish. So the boaters would not have any impediments against them fishing how they want to fish. They're not going to have to worry about some co-angler casting into the brush pile they're flipping, as soon as they flipped in there. So you're going to pay the co-anglers to show up, and then give them some incentive, like every tournament they'll be put in, like to draw to win a boat or something like that. That's what I would do. Next thing I would do is I would really focus on rebuilding Bassmaster as far as the way it was back in the 70s and 80s. I would create a situation where you had 150 pros, and that would be like the top 150. I think back in the top 100, top 150 days, it was it. The way that I would pick them out is I would take and this would be the fair way to do it, I would take the top 150 pros in this country who have won the most all-time money in a combination of FLW and Bassmaster, since they started. Those top 150 pros would make up the field in that. Every single one of them with that, they would sign a contract and they would be paid like $150,000, $200,000 a year just to fish the tournaments. And on top of that, there would be no entry fee, and the payouts would be about 3 times higher than they are right now. So what you do in that is I'd pull everybody over from MLF. Everybody would come over to fish the circuit to sign a contract to get paid $200,000 a year without even catching a fish. that would be the situation there. And then I would create some type of a weekend series with Bassmaster to enable people to qualify for the top 150 circuit. And the top 150 circuit, half of it would turn over every year. It's like, if you don't finish in the top 75, you're out. No legends exemptions, nothing like that. You're gonna have to qualify to fish it. Now, the part I would really enjoy more than anything else, and this is where the big change would come in, would be the rule changes. This would be my rule changes in the way the tournament rules were set up. Number one, we're getting rid of all this stupid technology. There's going to be no live scope, no forward-facing sonar allowed, no side imaging, no down imaging allowed. The only technology that's allowed in your boat is a 2D sonar and a GPS. You're only allowed one unit on the console. You're allowed one unit on the front. That's it. No other technology is going to be allowed with that. And there might even be a scenario where I wouldn't even allow GPS. It may just be like a straight 2D sonar, and then in fact, that's probably what I would do. It would be straight 2D sonar, no GPS. You'd have to learn to use a map and triangulate like we did back in the 70s and 80s, and really rely on your instincts and your intuition as an angler to figure these fish out. So that would be the equipment setup. Next thing, there would be some major rule setups. All this stuff about not being able to get out of your boat, and all these limitations that are put on shallow water anglers are going to be gone. You're going to be able to do anything that you want to, as long as it does not violate a state or federal law, to access water that is considered part of the tournament water. So say, for example, you've got the lake's low or something, and you've got this mud flat that's dried up, and there's some water on the other side of it. If you want to go in there and hire a helicopter and lift your boat over and put it in there, that's good. If you want to jump the thing, that's good, no problem. There's going to be no limitations on how small of a boat you can use. If you want to use a canoe, you can use a canoe. If you want to use a 25 horsepower, you can use a 25 horsepower. The only thing you have to have is an approved live well setup that will keep a limit of bass alive all day long, and that would have to be debated with that. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to limit the horsepower to 90 horsepower. That way, all this ridiculous explosion in being able to happen to go fish as far as buying a boat is going to go away. It's going to be limited to 90 horsepower. It's going to be limited to a 19-foot boat with 90 horsepower on it, and we're going to get the cost of the boats back down to where they need to be, where it doesn't continue to make this sport an elitist sport, where these boats are costing, on average, over $100,000 now. That's going to stop there. So main thing with it, guys, is we're going to simplify it, get back to the way things were when bass fishing was great back in the 70s and 80s, and for the most part, stop making this an elitist sport. Every single year, bass fishing becomes more and more of an elitist sport, pushes more and more people out of it, and it enables people that are financially set or have financial safety nets to participate, while other guys that have to work a job can't do it. So we're going to eliminate that. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get on down like this, just a few random thoughts. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think. There's other things too we'll have with that, but I haven't thought of all of them right now, but I just wanted to run that by you. So we'll talk later. See you.